Hello friends, welcome again to my channel. Today I want to talk a little bit about reins, my personal preferences on reins, what I like, what I don't like. Let me start off with what I don't like. And I got a set of reins here that I braided probably, I would think it must have been the late 80s. I think I was still living in the old house, and we went to the new house in 1990. So these are leather reins. Leather body and leather buttons. And I got these back in to give them some TLC. And there's no repair to be done. They're still as good as they were in the beginning. The only thing, what I don't like in leather reins is they have no life at all. It's just dead. And you can see it, it's just dead as far as I'm concerned. And me personally, I like to have life in my reins. Like if I do this, something happens, but not a lot. If you can see it, something happens, but not a lot. And I want to be able to signal my horse. So that is why I don't like these leather reins. I got another set of reins here, and I didn't make these myself. And they have 24 plat reins, and they have, I believe it's 36 or 34 plat romal. And this is made of goat hide. And I don't like goat hide for horse gear. I prefer beef hide or horse hide or maybe kangaroo. Because horsehide and kangaroo actually have more tensile strength than beef hide does, or cowhide does. And so they're a lot more durable, and especially when you go to the wider strings, you can have a little bit more integrity to it and a little bit more life to it. That being said, I got this set made by Donley, and they are 12 by 16. And I like these, but I would like to see more life to them. Now, these are 42 inches. And I like to use them when I'm, especially when I'm in a two rein. Because in the two rein, there's a pretty long stretch of time where I'm doing most of the work on the Bolsolita. And, just once in a while, I want to ask a little bit, and I want to be able to do this. But I want to be able to work on the Bolsolita and not have to worry about the bit at that point in time. These are also 12 by 16s, but a lot heavier. I mean, they're almost twice the thickness of the Donleys. These are Kelly Stattons. Have a little bit more life and stiffness to them than the Donleys do. And I really like this pair. But I used to like it a lot more a couple of years ago than I do now. Reason being, I got relatively small hands. So if I got to hold a rope or whatever, my hands just aren't big enough. And lately, I like a smaller diameter rein better, and that's how I break my stuff for myself. Now this is probably my all-time favorite pair of reins if I don't use rein chains. These are 52 inches long, and they're made by Barti Frunz. They are braided 8 by 12 in the romal, so 8 strings and 12 strings. They don't have a cord, so it turns out to be a square braid, and I really love how these things feel. And you can see there's some stiffness to it, so there's a lot of life. In other words, when I do this, you see that signal being transferred all the way to the bridle bit. Now, if I show a reiner, or if I show in an NRCHA, like let's say a bridal spectacular, and I got to do hurt work, I want to impress the judges, and I want to show with a little more slack instead of just light contact. My experience tells me that if I use rein chains and I drop my hand when I'm doing the hurt work, which is basically like a cutting would be, and I drop my hand and let my horse go to work, with the rein chains and the movement that the horse makes to block the cow, from going back to the hurt, there's just too much movement in there. And then I prefer these reins way better. Also, in a reining, if I really want to show with slack in my reins, I don't want the rein chains, because reins start flopping around. I feel it may distract my horse, and in that way, I'm not getting done what I need to get done. Now, when I do the work on the ranch, and we're riding a circle or checking fence or checking cattle, whatever, a couple of years ago, I got introduced to the coastal rein by a man called Pat Puckett, and him and his wife, they have a very good channel on YouTube that taught me a lot about horsemanship, but especially also about the whole California vaquero tradition. And they have a lot of really good videos on there. But he introduced me to the idea of the coastal rein. And the coastal rein is a lot shorter than what we normally see in the show pen, for example, or what I was used to. A lot of people will tell you that standard for guys that ride without rein chains would be like anyway between 48 and 52 inches long, and around 40 for people that do ride with rein chains. The coastal rein is a lot shorter than that. It's normally, on the research that I did, anywhere between, I believe it was 25 and like 30 inches or something. I tried it. Oh, and the other thing on a coastal rein is it has a palm concho. For me and the horses that I ride, I think it's fair to say that I want my my reins, I usually make them anywhere between 80 and 90 centimeters, which would be anywhere between 32 and 32 inches. That's what I like. And then, depending on the rein chains that I'm going to use, or the bridle bit that I'm going to use, I can do the math whether it's going to work or not. Where basically I can write like this and throw the rein forward, and the horse is working off slack, and I'm just trotting around or walking around, checking fences or cows or just doing a circle, whatever. When I'm roping, then all of a sudden everything goes to my left hand, and the romal would be right there. And as you can see, that palm concho fits perfectly here in my hand, and I can hold a lot of coils of rope, whatever. Works very good. And then when I'm going to work actually cattle to separate, or whatever, then I hold them like this, and I work the cows like this. So I really like the coastal reins and the palm concho. Another style of rein that I really do like, but it doesn't have a separate purpose like the coastal rein with the length and the palm concho, but I call this the Dorrance style rein. And Fred and Bill Dorrance kind of got this going, where basically, as you can see, the romal is pretty much a long quirt. And I really like the view of that. Again, these reins are just a tad longer than the coastal reins. So I can also use them on the whole two rein step if I wanted to do so. The other benefit of the Dorrance reins is, as you can see, how the romal attaches to the rein. Well, if I should be roping, I can throw my romal that way, and it naturally wants to stay there. So if I do the math on my horse, how long I need to be to keep my hand high, but not be in his mouth, high as in I got my coils of my rope and I need some room to dally, I can do that. And then I did, let's call it a hybrid form, which is kind of like a combination of a coastal rein with the palm concho, but have the romal like a quirt in the Dorrance style. I kind of liked it, and I sure do like these reins. I guess I got more to come because I'm pretty much an opinionated feller. I'll do some more on reins, what I like, what I don't like, and why I like certain stuff and why I don't like certain stuff. So anyway, up until then, I'd like to ask you to hit that subscribe button, and if you like the content, just hit the like button, and